This week on an all-new Running in the Dark with Doug T. We talked to my good friend Dan Chopin. This is his band, White Collar Criminals. But has Dan been in a band his whole life? No. He loves music, he plays it, but he was a stand-up comic for years. Find out why he hates Tom Hanks, possibly. Is that possible that you can hate Tom Hanks? I don't know. But I'll tell you what. It's a good conversation. You find out how comedy used to be back in the early days. This man helped lay the bricks for comedy in St. Louis. Please join me with Dan Chopin on this week's edition of Running in the Dark with Doug T. White Collar Criminals playing Stick It. Let's give Dan a call. Here we go.
Yeah, Dougie.
What's up, sir?
Hey, let me switch this. Let me monkey it around and get it on speakerphone. Hold on.
Monkey around.
Hold the phone. How do I do that? There we go. Hey, buddy.
How you doing?
Feel pretty good. Feel great. You know.
So you just you battled about a COVID.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Was it?
Sucked.
Yeah.
It sucked.
It knocked you all the way down?
Well, I woke up a week ago Wednesday. I had what was a slight cough on Tuesday. Turned out to be a really bad cough by Wednesday morning. And I'd been doing NyQuil, just to kind of get some sleep. And I woke up Wednesday morning. I just felt so shitty. Oh my God, so shitty. And I got really dizzy. My wife thought I was having a heart attack. She called an ambulance. I was taken off to the hospital in an ambulance. My blood pressure was like 90/60.
Holy shit.
And by the time I got to the hospital, I was back to normal because they pumped a bunch of fluids in me. I was dehydrated.
Yeah.
I was dehydrated and I had COVID. And I didn't know. So COVID just really, I was like sweating. I was white as a ghost and I was sweating.
Were you?
So that was scary.
Yeah, I would say, were you scared?
Yeah, I was like, holy shit, what the fuck? Yeah, real scared. Because
Did you chew on a bare aspirin or anything?
no, my heart felt okay. I knew it wasn't a heart attack. I didn't have any chest pains, and all my vitals were fine. I was just dehydrated. I just felt like shit. And I was dehydrated.
Right.
And I thought I stood up, I'd get dizzy, and I thought I was going to pass out, and I had to go sit on the toilet. It gave me the shits.
Oh yeah.
And I thought I was going to throw up too. So I thought, oh my God, I'm going to shit on the toilet and throw up in the bathtub at the same time. And I pulled my pants up, and paramedics got there.
He was masturbating.
Yeah. So in the long run, it was just COVID.
How was it?
And being dehydrated.
Yeah.
I was just really, really tired and had the chills on Wednesday. I stayed in bed all day Wednesday. Stayed in bed half the day Thursday. My doctor put me on special meds for people in my risk group, which is high because I'm old and I had cancer and I have high blood pressure. So it's like, I got the trifecta on that.
Yeah.
So he put me on this killer drug and just knocked it up. By Friday, I felt great.
Wow.
By Friday, I was in the basement working out,
What kind of workout? What are we doing on
Well,
workout?
I'm kind of doing weights and running.
Oh, right on.
And kind of P90X stuff.
Yeah, right.
I've got, I know you did that years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
But, the chest and back on once a week, and then the arms and shoulders another day. And then I would do those things and the ab ripper.
Holy
do those
shit,
once
you're
a
going
week.
after it.
Well, do those once a week and then mix it up on other days, doing other chest and stuff, just to mix it up, so you don't get homeostasis. You know what that is? That's when you're doing the same thing long enough, you reach a plateau and you don't get any more muscle. You got to mix it up.
All right.
and fool your muscles. I mean, I'm trying to lose. I'm on a big lifestyle change. I'm just trying to lose 20 pounds by April, and
That's great, Dan.
so I'm not drinking.
Yeah. I got to ask you, because I always find it funny how we find our places to like make changes. When you, how many years were you a comic?
On the road for 40,
40.
43 years. 79 I started, and I quit pretty much in, 2002.
Okay.
Or, last year. April 2nd was my last show.
So 2022, you said 2002, just so.
Yeah, 2022, that's
Yeah.
what I meant.
So
Started in 79.
in all those years of traveling and on the road and staying at hotels with workout places, and a lot of the clubs would give you a pass to go work out. Did you exercise then?
Half the time.
Did you? Okay.
I ran a lot. The thing I loved about running was you can throw on some shoes and go anywhere. There's always a treadmill at a hotel.
Right.
So if the weather was no good, but I always loved running outside just to kind of venture around. Hey, are we rolling right now? We started or what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I can cut any of that first part out since you didn't know, but I always just have it recording. And this is, for me, it's just gaining stuff. And if there's anything you want cut out, let me know and I'll do it. So.
Okay, well, I'll just continue talking knowing that we're rolling.
Yeah,
so,
right on.
Cut that out. Cut that out. Oh,
this is what makes it real, though. That's what I want this to be real.
It's real, man.
And
very real. Hold on, let me shut the door here.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm 100% with you.
I should add a sound effect to that. Let me shut the door and put an old creaky. Have somebody in the background yell, "Put your pants on."
Yeah. What are you doing down there?
Yeah. So God, that's great that you're exercising. And how old are you now, Dan?
66.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you feel better? Feel good?
I feel great. I what can I say?
Yeah.
I love being off the road. When I had that little bout with prostate cancer, it kind of made me reevaluate what I wanted to do with the rest of the life that I have remaining.
Right.
And, COVID kind of made everybody quit. Then I started doing it part-time around town once it kind of got lifted. And later in 21, I started doing shows, and I was just found it really hard to only work every few weeks, I mean, when I was doing it every week, I felt, in tune and sharp.
Right. You can go anywhere, no matter what's going on. You can take it anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, for 40 years, I did it pretty much every week. If I took 2 weeks off, you feel a little rusty. It takes you a show to get back into the groove.
Yeah, totally.
And it would take me 2 shows to get back into the groove. I headlined at the Funny Bone in St. Louis in November of 21, and I knew just a ton of people were going to come and see me. It was a local gig. And I hadn't done a show in 2 years. I'm like, man,
and that's the worst.
And I don't think I was pleasant to be around that week.
Yeah. It's funny that we don't see it as that, but my wife will, like, if I have a local show, and tell me if you feel the same when it's a local show, the people that know you and know you've done it your whole life are going to be there, and you don't want to suck because you don't want them walking out and go, God, he does that for a living? You always worry about that. Those are like the most anxiety-ridden shows. For me, they were anyway. So how were you? Are you feel that same way with it?
Yeah, I'm much more comfortable in front of a room full of strangers.
Oh, me too.
If I have people in the front row that I know, I mean, it's like I don't look at them. I don't make eye contact with people unless I'm talking to them. I'm kind of looking through them or over them.
Totally. Yeah.
And when my parents were alive, they would come to shows, and I'd always want to sit them in the back. One time I did a corporate show. They're in the front, right to my right, front row. And so I'm like an oscillating fan that would stop before I would, I would work the left side of the front and the left side of the room and just not even kind of look over at them. It's just, I just don't like it when people I know are I can see them.
Yeah. Did you do material about them at the time?
Not really.
Okay,
No,
I did because
no.
that would be uncomfortable if they're sitting there staring at you and you're doing material
I,
about
I
them.
I went ahead and just did any blue material that I was doing,
Right on at a corporate
and
too.
my dad was like, "What did he say?" And mom, he said, "Fuck." Oh, all right.
And rather than looking at you laugh or looking at you through the show, they were probably watching other people to see if I don't, that table 3 doesn't like him.
Well, that's what my wife would do. She'd seen my show so many times. She would enjoy watching other people laugh, and she got a kick out of that. I just she'd heard pretty much all of it before,
Yeah.
because she would come, especially when I was in town, because she would want to come out when her friends came out. She'd come to a couple of shows that week and sit with people and just enjoy watching them laugh at me.
Now that's cool. Yeah, because they get. I think our wives tend to get kind of not sour to it. They just know the material. They've heard it so many times.
Yeah, and it was always interesting to her to see how people would react. I mean, she would know what was coming, and
Right.
and on the rare instances I was doing something new that she hadn't heard yet, then she'd, you know,
Would she
she'd laugh.
was she a champion of your material? Like if you would run it past her or come up with an idea and you're like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" Would she be like, "Yeah," or does she go, "I don't know"?
Yeah, it was hard. She's a civilian, she's got, so, you know,
Civilian. That's
I
great.
know her fake laugh from her real laugh. I would make her laugh more just being funny off the cuff, just, goofing around with her. I would get that real laugh. If she knows she's hearing a joke, I'm trying it out on her. I don't know. I just never thought it was a good read. I mean, she wouldn't laugh. I go, I just know that's funny. I mean, just,
Oh my
you
god.
know, I just knew it. I knew it was right. And then I do it and it was right. She goes, oh, I don't know about that. So
You
I
use
quit
that.
asking. I quit asking her.
Before I was married, I was in a long distance relationship. Those could be difficult. Well, it wasn't that far. Well, the judge said 500 feet. She was verbally abusive. Yeah, she didn't say anything mean. She just abused verbs. It was really weird. What'd you do today, honey? Oh, I swimmed. We met at Trump University.
But my wife said the same way. But when she says, "I don't think I like it," I'm like, "This has got to be gold." Because every time she says that, I would take it to stage, and it seemed to work. So
Yeah, my wife's always like, well, hey, I'm your audience. I mean, I'm a perfect, focus group for you. No, I don't think you are.
yeah, you're not a captive buyer.
Yeah,
You're the guy trying to get out of the timeshare meeting early so you can go get a couple more
yeah.
fizzy
So,
drinks.
so I always, but sometimes, sometimes she'd really respond, and I could hear that real laugh.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There was always something about it. She was, I think she's a little too analytical
Yeah.
about it.
They like to dissect it, or they say, "Well, that's not exactly how it happened." You're like, "I know. That's what made it funny."
Right.
Kiss
Right.
without their makeup was not cool. They had to dress them up a little.
Right. Yeah.
My wife and I just bought a new house. We're very happy about it. Got an in-ground pool. Never had an in-ground pool before. Kind of learning as we go. I really embarrassed myself at the pool supply store last spring. I thought it was a weird request, but I took it in anyway. Then the guy at the counter said, No. We needed a pool sample. I got you. I'll be back in about an hour. Go ahead and keep it.
Now, your first club, where'd you first get on stage at, or what made you get on stage?
Well, it was, I was a comedy fan. In high school, I loved George Carlin, and Steve Martin, and all that stuff. And Johnny Carson used to watch that, the comics on Carson.
Right.
And I was a musician, and I was playing in bands, but I had that showbiz bug already kind of bit me as a musician. So I started doing stand-up. I met a friend of mine who became a friend in '78, who was doing stand-up at like South Side bars in St. Louis for band breaks and stuff. He'd go up when the band was taking a break, and he kind of cut his early teeth doing that. And then the open mic night started in downtown St. Louis in May of '79. And he said, "Hey, I'm going to be there Wednesday night." So I went Wednesday night, saw him, and it was the open mic night. And I said, "Yeah." And he did great. It was a nice little crowd in there, and a bunch of guys got up, no women, just all guys, black guys, white guys, all pretty young.
Right.
And it was a fun show. And I said, "Hey, I'll be here next week. I'll put together 5 minutes and be here next week."
And how old were you at this time?
And I did. Huh?
How old were you at this time?
22.
22.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So I put 5 minutes together and went back next week and did it and had fun, got some laughs. I go, hey, fun. Then I did it the following week. I got more laughs again. I go, hey, I guess I'm a natural. So I invited a bunch of friends to come see the next time, and I, ate a shit sandwich,
Did you write that week, or did you kind of go up going, I got this?
Well, I was writing my own material.
No, I knew, but what that third week, did you kind of get complacent, or did you think, I figured this out, and then that's when you had shit sandwich?
I kind of had that. I wasn't like, oh, this is I just kind of thought, hey, I guess I'm kind of a natural at this. I still put effort into it. I didn't.
Right. But you were two for two at the plate at that point, and you were feeling
I was doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
I just, ate a shit sandwich and, and a bunch of people knew me. Go, oh, this is going to be a little harder than I thought. Okay. But I kept doing it. And it turned into Wednesday and Saturday night. The open mic night on Wednesday, and then if you made it kind of through the, they thought you were good enough, the powers that be, they put you on Saturday night, which was my friend Craig.
Right on.
So that's when I started, and started doing that. Within a year, there was a locally produced TV show. Some woman at the CBS affiliate in St. Louis came up with a show called Night Moves.
Oh,
so I'd been doing the open mic night for about a year, and so the producers came out to they wanted to find a comic, and it was the only game in town, really. I think there was there might have been a club up to the north side, the black community, I think, had a club where guys were working, and women, I think, up there as well. But they came to the Funny Bone, and they picked me to be on this TV show, and the producer said, "Hey, it only pays $50." And I'm like, yeah, well, it was my first paid gig.
Yeah, you're like $50,
and I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I mean, I was a rookie.
Right.
But I did it. I said, I sure as hell I'm going to do it. She said, well, she thought that was maybe a low figure. She said, well, it's only $50, but 50,000 people are going to see you. And I nearly caked my pants right there. So I did it, and it was okay. I mean, I did as good a set as a rookie could do. Some of my material wouldn't hold up today. I did a Japanese, impression of watching a movie where it's out of sync with the lips and the
the old
Rook,
Kung Fu
Godzilla.
theater. Yeah.
Oh, Rook, Godzilla.
Yeah, they'd be whoever was hosting the show would probably come back on a little like, folks.
Well, it worked out okay.
Oh, hell yeah, back then.
Yeah, and then there was a musical group on the show, and then some disco dancers. The musical group was great. I was okay. Then the review in the paper.
Oh my God, they reviewed it in the paper too. This is great.
Yeah, it was kind of a big deal. I mean, it was on Saturday night at 10:30. up against SNL,
Right.
back in 1980.
Oh my God,
And
that's when that's Eddie Murphy era, isn't it?
I think that's when he started. Yeah, that was when Lauren Michaels was no longer doing it,
Yeah.
and Jean Dumanian or whatever her name was, and Joe Piscopo in the new cast. Nonetheless, it was Saturday night 10:30, and the review, the local critic came on. A couple other guys from the comedy club did some sketches before the commercials, and the reviewer just hated it. Said, "Oh, it was the most sophomoric, horrible thing." Ugh, I mean, just using all these words. And he was raving about the musical group. And when it got to me, he said, comedian Dan Chopin had some funny moments, but was mostly a lesson in how hard it is to do stand-up comedy,
Oh,
which was fair. It
yeah.
was a fair assessment.
I know, but it felt a little like sweep the leg, Johnny.
No, I was happy with it. I had fun doing it. I felt I had a really good show,
No, I'm not
and it
saying.
was
I meant the review probably hurt like that a little bit.
it didn't hurt that bad.
That's cool.
I thought it was appropriate then. I was still buzzing about the experience. I mean, it was really fun to do it. I was really nervous, really, really nervous as I'd ever been up to that point.
Right.
And people would come up and talk to me, and their voices sounded far away. But somehow I got it together and had as good a set as I could have had.
Yeah.
And the comedy bug really bit hard because they were laughing where they supposed to, and it was showbiz. It was the lights,
Man.
TV studio. It was really fun.
What were your? Did you? Was it right then that you made the kind of like the mental fortitude to go, hey, I'm gonna ride this here and see what happens?
No,
What?
no,
That wasn't it.
no. It
What?
was still just a hobby.
And what were
I was
you
still in
doing at the
college.
time? You were in
I was a
college.
bartender. I was a bartender going to college,
Right on.
University of Missouri, in uh,
Columbia.
St. Louis.
Oh, okay.
Um, and it didn't really. I did it for 3 years. Well, I made $50 that night, but after that it was another 3 years before we started making any money. I got with a couple of other comics. We put together a comedy troupe. We did a couple more open mic nights around town. This place lasted about a year and a half. And then we would go to other places, say, look, we got a show, you got a bar, we'll get up and do a show. And, it's free. I mean, we just got paid in drinks,
Right.
we do our show and just do a shot in the beer after the show and, get wasted,
Right
which
on.
was fun. It's fun when you're 23 to do that.
Yeah.
And then we started doing improv. I got into a sketch comedy group. We started one and doing improv and skits. And we started making money. We went to another place out in the county, said, look, we got a show. You got a bar. We'll charge an admission, keep the door, and you keep the booze you sell, which would turn out to be a great deal. And we worked really hard on that. And that was started in like 82. So it was 3 years before. And then it was 3 years before I made any money doing it. We made any money. I would sell tickets. The other three in the group would seat people. And then I'd put the money in my pocket. We'd do the show and split it. And it was like $5 a head. It sat about 150 people. And we'd do a show on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And we'd sell out, in about a month, we were selling out the room, we were making some good jack.
Right.
I mean, we're making $500 a week a piece when we were 23.
That's
And,
great.
and that's when an apartment cost, $100,
Right.
$120 for a three-room apartment.
Yeah. Gas was 87 cents a gallon.
Yeah. So it's like, hey, I can quit my job. But I kept tending bar for another few years
Right.
because it was only 2 nights a week I was doing that.
Did you enjoy tending bar?
Oh, that's a blast. Oh, yeah.
Did you work on material while you tended bar?
I was, riff with people.
Yeah.
And, if something came up funny, I'd, make a note of it or jot it down. But
Right on.
it was a pretty busy bar. So I, didn't have a lot of time to do that. It was in a part of town downtown that was really thriving. And there'd be, 6 people deep at the bar on weekends. I mean, it was
Like
balls,
cocktail.
balls to the wall,
Yeah.
busy.
That's awesome. So you made you made way good money there then on tips and such.
Sure, yeah, I've made another $400 a week, working the bar.
Yeah.
So $900 a week, 23 back in 1982. That's pretty good.
Hell yeah.
83.
Hell yeah. So
Yeah, I dropped out of college and, just started working all the time.
right.
I went back and finished my degree later, but at that point, I just kind of stopped going to school. But I was paying for college myself, so I was only wasting my own money. I wasn't wasting my parents' money.
Yeah.
I take a lot of pride in that I wasn't wasting their money,
Right. That is
pissing
honorable.
away my own.
Yeah. So then you're take me a little farther now.
All right. So the place where we were doing this show, Easy Street Players, is the name of the group.
All right.
It was out of Cleo's, out of a mall called Westport Plaza, kind of a fake German village,
Now Westport is that where Funny Bone is now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, they came in '83, and they had a club in Pittsburgh. So they came to St. Louis to find a place, and they came to the place that there was comedy, and then ended up buying that room.
Okay. All right.
So we got it because it was already an established comedy room, because we did that show for like a year and a half.
Right on.
And it was getting good press. We were selling out. We were making some money. We were doing a couple other bars in the bi-state area. Doing a Friday night show down in Springfield, Missouri. We rent a big suburban van. The four of us go down there with our props and do a show. Met some other comedy improv troupe down there that we would alternate with them. Made some friends. And did that for a year and a half. Now the Funny Bone came in, bought the place that was called Cleo's, and turned it into a Funny Bone, and started hiring us as MCs and middle acts.
Right.
And so the improv group, sketch comedy group, busted up, and we just started working the clubs. And that's when the comedy boom really hit, about '83.
Yeah.
And the Funny Bone opened a couple more clubs. They had a room in Pittsburgh, a room in Knoxville, a room in St. Louis, and we would, work the entire week, and then they'd bring in headliners, big shot headliners, Stephen Wright, Paula Poundstone, Jerry Seinfeld, worked with him a couple of times in the '80s.
Yeah.
And
Ellen, were you on something with Ellen at one point?
Yeah, I was on a PBS
Yeah.
comic night show. That was about '91.
Okay. Sorry, I flashed forward.
That's right. And I started working the road. I mean, that's why I quit, college, because I was traveling.
Right.
I'd go down to Knoxville for 3 weeks and be an MC for 3 weeks.
Now, what did that pay? What's something like that pay?
That was about $500 a week.
Isn't that crazy? That's like what you'd make as a feature, maybe now.
Yeah. The money hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Only the cost of living has changed.
I know. Shit. Keep on going. Sorry about that, Dan.
That's all right. And then, then they put you up, the comedy condo. They have a, apartment, a 3-bedroom apartment, stay there and just, share it with all the other comics coming in, like Richard Jenny, and got a ton of really great comics. And you work with them and you watch them every night. Go, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how that works. Eddie Strange. It was really great. And then, going out, that's when the club was sold out every night, and everybody wants to party with you.
Yeah.
And it was, was crazy. It was really fun, and just got better and better, and started, I was emceeing for 3 weeks, and it got to the middle pretty quick. So when you started middling, you couldn't stay for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But more clubs are opening up. So, about 85, 86, they had maybe a half a dozen clubs. They had another club in St. Louis, out in South County, and a couple of different people kind of went through the ranks, booking the club. But you could book 6 months of work with one phone call.
Oh my gosh.
And, there was a lot of work. Supply and demand was askew. So there were, doormen that were starting to do stand up.
Well, that's
And
yeah, that's
they needed comics. It was a big demand. It was everybody got into it because all you need is a room, you got to pay rent, you got a stage and a microphone. Boom.
yeah.
And sell it out and buy some airtime on the radio and promote it.
Yeah, alcohol sales are
crazy
probably
days.
fantastic.
Oh man, it's nuts. Yeah, it was really good.
Now, did they serve food in the audience, or was
Some of them did. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
do you
Yeah, limited menu. Chicken wings and appetizers.
yeah. Did
But
you
it was pretty much alcohol.
right? Did you enjoy when people had food served, or did it? I always felt like it threw off your game. You get a sniff of bacon, and you're like, oh,
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, people eating while they're trying to laugh. I never enjoyed dinner shows. No.
yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah.
So you're traveling the road. Now, how old are you at this point then? 26, 27?
Yeah, I'm starting to 22 and 79, You
Yeah.
do the math.
I'm not that good at math, Dan.
Yeah, by the time, 83, I was doing it full time
Okay.
and traveling a lot. Then I moved to LA in 85
Oh, right on. Okay.
and started working around there. I was working, I'd fly down, before I did that, I'd fly down to Houston a lot. There's a comedy workshop down in Houston. That's where all the outlaw comics from Houston, like Riley Barber and Bill Hicks was from down there, and Kennison, and a bunch of Jimmy Pineapple, a bunch of really funny guys working in like 84, 85. I used to go down there pretty regularly, and they had a couple of clubs there and booked a couple of satellite rooms, so I could stay there for a couple of weeks and work. And it was a fun community. We played softball at midnight on Friday nights. We'd go under the lights
They had a
after the show and have a keg of beer and, just get shit-faced and play softball and, fight to break out. It was just really funny, just really rambunctious. And the Comedy Workshop had a club in Houston, a couple of clubs in Houston, and then they had a club in Austin, Texas. And I started going down there, and that's where one of the, and it was right when I moved to LA. I worked at the Comedy Workshop in Austin, and there was a manager from the San Diego Improv that saw me, a part owner, said, "Hey, we'll get you down to San Diego at the Improv." I said, "Sure." And that was kind of my backdoor entrance into the Improv, where, I worked down there for a week, did well. The manager down there was Dave Becky. You know that name?
I don't. No.
Dave Becky is like the manager of, I think it's called 3 Arts. He's like Louis C.K.'s manager, and
Oh, wow.
he's a big these days. He was the manager down at San Diego Improv, and so I was in L.A. So I worked with a couple of comics from L.A. that knew Bud Friedman. Said, "Hey, this guy Chopin, he's good. Give me a shot." So I went and auditioned for Bud, and he started giving me the late night sets at the Improv. You go there, it's like they would have continuous comedy. You get there, comics start going up at 7:30, and it's continuous until 1:00.
Wow.
And it's just one after another. And then all the big shots would come in during the prime time. And, I'd go on, I'd have like an 11:30 set. And somebody come up like George Wallace, really hysterically funny,
Suck
black
the air out
comic.
of the
He'd
room.
come up and destroy the room. I was on after him. He'd destroy it. And then, most of the crowd would leave, and there'd be, 8 people left when I went up.
Yeah.
So you had to do that, or you get bumped when, Jerry Seinfeld would walk in and want to do a set. I got bumped one time. Tom Hanks walked in because he was doing a set, because he was getting ready to do that movie Punchline.
Yeah. With Sally Field? Was it Sally Field in that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got bumped. I was psyched. I'm getting ready to go. I was ready to go. And then he gets in. Oh, I'm bumped.
Oh, man.
Then he comes in. Then everybody leaves. Had to do that for a while. But Bud Friedman was great. He just passed away a few months ago.
Yeah, I
It's
saw
sad.
that.
But he had clubs around. He had a place in Vegas. So I started working in Vegas. He had a room at the Riviera Hotel.
That was one of
Which
the
was
first
on
ones that
Rip-
blown up, wasn't it, back in the day?
Say again?
Was that one of the first ones that they kind of demolished, the Riviera?
No, that survived for a while.
I thought that was like one of the early ones. I've watched too many movies.
No, I mean they was I think was there until the early 2000s.
Okay, yeah, I could.
But in the 80s and 90s, I went there a bunch. I go there 3-4 times a year. And the manager was Steve Sharippa in that club. He was on The Sopranos,
Yeah.
and he's on another show now.
Yeah, he was a comic,
He
right?
he was just an Italian guy. Tomato D, I play Chopin. Just do your time.
Yeah.
And then he's on Sopranos. He had to tone down his gangster persona.
Yeah, he acted like a scared guy. Tony would always be over there. Jesus, what's the matter with you? Take Janice.
Right.
Take it
Yeah,
easy.
he was very meek in that, which was unusual.
Yeah,
But he'd been in some movies that, turned out to be a great actor.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And he was kind of a jerk.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he wasn't a nice person.
Like a bully type person, or I've got this.
He just wasn't nice. He just wasn't nice.
Yeah. Well,
He just, hey, Chopin, I thought you were my pal, man. What's wrong with you? Then he blackballed me from the place. Then he'd hire me again. It was just weird.
nice. People in power.
So, started, working the road. Still work the road a lot.
And did you
Took
have
acting
roots
class.
anywhere? Did you have an apartment, or did you have a?
Yeah.
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 Okay. I didn't know if you.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know if you had like a home or lived with a bunch of guys, or what you were doing at that point.
No, I had a little house in Culver City at first. Then I got an apartment in West Hollywood. Then I got a place in Studio City. And then ended up in Woodland Hills. So I lived in 4 different places. But I lived in San Francisco for a couple of years too. I was up there 90, 91, 92 in San Francisco.
Oh, right on.
2.5, 3 years, and lived up in the city up there. Now that was a great town because there were half a dozen A-rooms in town, and you could work at any one of the clubs. They didn't mind. A lot of cities like, yeah, you work the Improv or you work the Comedy Store. It's one or the other. You can't work both.
Yeah. Now,
But
when you worked those, were those like you were doing? Was it like similar to where you go in and you're basically doing sets, just short sets, or
yeah,
okay.
Well, it was the 3 comic format. I was middling.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like at Comedy Store they have 8 people go up, so I didn't know if it was that similar.
Comedy Store, they have 28 people going on.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
They would just have different shows, but it was like it was a showcase club, just like the Improv.
Yeah.
It's continuous comedy until 1 o'clock, from 7:30, 8 o'clock till 1 o'clock.
Right.
Boom, boom, boom. But on the weekends they would split it up and kick everybody out. I never really worked the Comedy Store, so I'm not sure how it worked. I used to go there, but I never worked there. The Improv, they'd seat a show, and then they'd seat a second show sometimes with all different people. So you could kind of stick around or go. I mean, it was weird how it worked.
Right.
But it was great. I mean, that's where all the talent scouts would hang out at the Improv and the Comedy Store looking for the next comic to do the Tonight Show.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there it is.
Yeah.
Oh, they saw me. They didn't pick me. Bastards. Still waiting for that phone call.
Did now at that time were you still traveling outside of that area, or were you?
Yeah, that's how we make a living on the road. I'd be
Okay.
gone for two weeks, back for 2 weeks. So I was taking acting classes there and going on auditions, had an agent. got, just got a couple of, I know, get really small parts, like a day rate,
Yeah.
join the union.
Did
Um,
and did you have aspirations of being an actor as well, or did that kind of come
yeah,
from a little bit of, hey, I'm in this already, let's try this out. People say I'm funny.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty close. Yeah, that's what you do. You go out there, you take the acting classes, you learn it. That was really fun.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. It was a really cool place. It was called Tony Barr's Film Actors Workshop. And
Tony.
you'd meet on Mondays and Tuesdays, which is great because I'd be on the road Wednesday through Sunday. I'd get back a lot on Monday morning, Monday afternoon, and then I'd go to my acting class. So there'd be, in this film actors workshop, there was like 2 rooms in the facility. One room was a studio where they had 3 cameras, 3 really big professional TV cameras. And the instructor was in the control room working the switcher, which is the controls which, you block out a scene and you have actors doing a scene and you switch from camera A to camera B to camera C. He would do that because we would tape our performances. One week we'd go up, and then the other room was a classroom. So on the first Monday of the month, we would go to the classroom, and he would assign scenes from pretty much from movies.
Right.
I did a scene one time with a woman from the movie Bugsy. It was a Bugsy Siegel movie with Warren Beatty.
Yeah.
And it was practicing cold reading, where he'd give you the script, he'd pair you up with somebody in the class, and you'd go up and audition in front of the class for him. He would ring through it with a script that you hadn't seen yet. And you would do a cold reading,
Yeah.
You got the script in your hand, and you just kind of off the cuff, you do it. You do that a couple of times. And they say, okay, try this, try that. And then he would assign you to work with your partner. You would meet your partner off site and maybe rehearse, and come back the following week, go to the studio and shoot the scene. And then they had boxes of props and stuff, so you could dress the room, minimally. But it was a 3-camera shoot, and if you're not in the scene, you're working the cameras. So there's bodies to do all the things that need to be done.
Right.
The instructors in the control room on the switcher yelling, action, cut, and all the other students are either just watching or running the cameras or holding the boom mics, and you're working with your partner and working on the scene. So you could see it. And then the following week, we would watch those, everybody would critique, and then we'd do another scene. We'd be assigned another scene. So 1 week it's twofold, where you look at what you've previously recorded and then get assigned a new scene. So it would alternate like that. And that was a very educational experience, and teaching you how to just kind of cold auditioning is a real talent.
Yeah.
And it's a real skill that you have to hone. And, it takes a lot of guys and girls, audition a couple hundred times before they get one thing,
Yeah. As you were telling me that, I popped on the internet. Look
Yeah.
at this. Tony Barr's Film Actors Workshop, 2050 South Bundy Drive, Los Angeles, California. Still open.
Wow.
And I just read this. I've been taking this class for 2 years, and I must say this is the best acting workshop I could have ever asked for. And,
Yeah,
and
that's
it shows
cool.
this kid sitting at a workshop, and they got a camera on him, like a 3-camera shoot. See, it's from like an angle shooting over somebody's shoulder. So everything you were telling me, I'm looking at this guy's stuff. So that's great. Imagine.
So you're fact checking me in real time.
No, I'm not fact checking you. I just wanted to see.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
I wanted to see if
fully
it was
checked.
still there. And here's why. I thought of this while you were telling me that. In today's world, we can hook up. How we hook up now is with Facebook, and you can follow that person for the rest of their life or however long. Can you imagine hooking up with some of these people again? Do you still talk to any of the people you were in that class with?
No,
Isn't that crazy? Do you ever wonder where they're at, what they're doing?
not really.
All right. You think
There were, it's just other like-minded people, not a lot of a comic here and there, but mostly just want to be actors
right?
and actresses. I'm sure a lot of them went on to success,
Gosh, that's crazy. Right?
there's different, definitions of success. If they went on to get regular work,
That's success.
it's like a character actor. I mean, that's success. If you're making a living doing it. I mean, there were some comics that I knew that were professional extras.
Yeah.
One comic from St. Louis, he worked 5 days a week as an extra. You'd see him on Seinfeld. You'd see him on Mad About You, just in the background,
Right.
talking. You make $100 a day. You make $500 a week doing that.
Yeah. That's cool.
Just don't talk to the other actors,
Get him out of here.
Yeah, right.
Now, you did that for a while. How many... Now, the one you had a post recently, and you were in, I can't remember what the name of the movie or show was, but you were sitting there with Luke Perry was in the scene with you, correct? Am I correct?
That was called Alice Upside Down. It was just a 1-day rate. I went in, auditioned for the part and got it. And I didn't know I was working with Luke Perry until the director brought me and sat me at the table. I look over, I go, holy shit, that's Luke Perry. I didn't meet him.
Yeah, he didn't talk to you.
No. That's the first and last time I ever saw him. I just had that one part. I had, one line.
So what do you say we talk about something else? Milton, how you been?
Great. My merchant marine application came through without a hitch. What?
The scene was 2 minutes long. And, I just had one line,
Yeah.
And, I got a day rate at like, $700. I still get residual checks from things that, I did a thing with Holly Hunter
Okay.
and Bo Bridges. Just a day rate thing for about a Texas cheerleader murdering mom.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a brief scene, but I didn't meet her, and I didn't meet Bo Bridges. I just, was on set. I shot my scene, and thank you. I still get residual check. I got a residual check the other day from that movie.
That's great.
It was $3.95.
Awesome. You can't buy anything these days. You can't even buy that movie online for that price. Now, so you've got into acting. You're still doing comedy, obviously, full time.
No, I'm not. Oh, then I was. Yeah.
I'm circling back to 85, 87 era. Is that where we're kind of at right now? Okay.
Yeah, right in there.
All right. Let's move. Let's keep driving forward if we can.
So I was working the road a lot, and working the road so much, I really didn't need to buy an apartment in St. Louis or in LA. I didn't need to rent an apartment. So I was kind of working the road for a couple of years and just crashing in St. Louis because I was out, I auditioned a lot for stuff. I didn't get a lot of acting work, and I had to hit the road, and it's kind of a conundrum. If you're going to be in LA, you need to be in LA.
Right.
If you're going to make a success in LA, you got to be in LA. You got to stay in LA.
Yeah.
That's the key. You can't. It's hard to do it if you got something to fall back on. And I fell back on this stand-up, which is I was making a living. So I was kind of like living. I got rid of my apartment in San Francisco. I was on the road for a couple of years, and the next place I got was in. I left LA, and the next place I got in the 1990 was in San Francisco. And I lived there for 3 years. And there, you could stay in town and work the clubs, but still, it's not LA.
Right.
So I had a manager. I'd still drive down to LA and audition for stuff and work around town a little bit. But it was, I was pretty much in San Francisco by the 90s. And then I started getting more like the stand-up shows, like Evening at the Improv and that Comedy Tonight I did with Ellen DeGeneres and the Showtime Comedy Club Network and Comedy Tonight in New York City. And, so that's when I was, doing all those shows.
Now, were you?
MTV Half Hour Comedy Hour.
Yeah.
I was doing all these shows between 1990 and 1994. And working the road, just, and still auditioning for stuff when I had a chance. And then I moved back to LA like 93 and gave that another couple of years. And working a lot and just, kind of continued to, do what I've been doing.
Yeah. Now,
working the road.
When you were doing those TV shows, those spots on TV shows, were you a feature act or a headliner at the time?
I was headlining on the road.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, I was headlining by like 87. 87 on, I was pretty much headlining wherever I went. That was about 1,800 a week.
Okay.
Between 15 and 18. And, I'd be on the road for, I'd fly into Houston, work in Houston, rent a car, and the following week drive down to Baton Rouge, work Baton Rouge for a week, and then drive up to Jackson, Mississippi, work a week, and then fly back to Houston and fly home. So I do like 3 weeks.
Yeah. And
that was fun. I used to love it, getting up in the morning, like on a Monday morning, and going, leaving one town and going, oh man, I got 2 days to get to New Orleans. This would be great. I just be out on the road. It was just such freedom.
Yeah, and it's so different back then. You had to use maps, everything was just different at that point.
Yeah, everybody, all the bookers, everybody had phone numbers, so it's a big way to, the well-kept, comedy booking book. And you had to know somebody really well before they'd spill some booker's digits to you, and that's what you do. You have, you got that, that hard copy calendar with your dates in it. I still have calendars from that era. It's pretty funny to look at them because it kind of reminds me, oh man, I remember that. Yeah. It was hard to, you had to get an end somehow or another.
Yeah.
So I had enough ends to where I could pretty much work full time. I mean, not, and you have to deal with rejection all the time. A lot of clubs that, I never worked.
Right.
There was like clubs, a bunch of clubs in the South. I never worked the South much. I don't think I was well suited for that demographic.
Yeah.
Anyway, but there was comedy bookers say, okay, send us a videotape. You'd have to have that big old
VHS tape.
video camera the size of a microwave oven, in the back of the room.
Yeah.
And tape a show until you get a good one. And they say, send a tape. In one club, I think it was Creative down in the South. I'm not sure which one, but it was like, you have to send $50. You send us $50, we'll watch your tape.
Oh my goodness, what a racket.
Yeah. So some comic sends them $100 and says, here's my tape, watch it twice.
Oh.
And they booked them for the rest of the year,
Oh, well, I guess, yeah.
It was brilliant. It was brilliant.
What was it when you said I was not there for a week, so the listener at home may not understand. A week of work back then was Wednesday through Sunday, or
pretty much.
Yeah, and matinee shows on weekends, possibly with 3 shows, or was it not that?
Didn't do a lot of matinees, just shows every night, 2 shows a night. Some places did 3 on Saturday. That was hard.
Yeah, 2 shows Friday, Saturday, 1 show Wednesday, Thursday.
Right.
Yeah, and that's all changed.
I was working this club one time, and those were back in the days. They had the Comedy Condo, and they would have a lock on the phone. You wouldn't be able to, call long distance on the comedy condo phone because the comics would abuse it. So there
Yeah.
was some comic I don't remember what club it was or who the comic was, but he had worked there all week, and he had rung up. I mean, he got paid like $1,000 to headline for the week,
Right.
and he left, and the club owner got the phone bill from the week he was there. He had rung up like $950 in 900 phone calls. It was that, phone sex.
Oh
Phone call.
my
You
God!
call
I'm thinking, what
and
do you call
talk
it,
to
Guam?
somebody, and so he rang up $950 in for the bill. So the club owner did a brilliant thing. He called the guy and said, "Hey, loved having you here. Got to have you back ASAP. We need you. What's your avail? I'll pay you the same. We need you back. You're great." So he comes back, works the whole week. Sunday night, goes to the office to get paid. The owner hands him the bill for $950 and $50.
Yeah.
Because he took that $950 out of his pay. He goes, "Here's your bill from last time. Here's $50. Fuck off. Never call me again."
Oh my God, that's
Isn't that
fantastic.
great?
Yeah.
Oh, I love stories like that.
Who was the guy? Do you know? Do you remember who it was?
I do not.
Okay. We don't
I
want
wouldn't say if I
yeah,
did.
we have probably a good idea. Since this is being recorded, you might get a
Yeah,
tap
it's
on
probably,
your shoulder at Costco or something. What'd you say
you know,
about
well,
me? God damn it!
I think it was Murray Feinberg.
I don't know what that means.
Exactly.
I felt like you were putting me together a little bit.
My nephew asked me one time, "Are you famous?" I said, "I'm as famous as Murray Feinberg." He said, "Who's Murray Feinberg?" I said, "Exactly."
I love it. Okay, so you're around the country. When did you move back to St. Louis then?
Late 90s. I was still working the road a lot.
Yeah.
Late 90s.
And
And
were you doing Midwest mostly? Were you doing East Coast, West Coast?
Midwest and pretty much Midwest at that point. Some West Coast stuff. I go back to LA now and again. But yeah, primarily doing a lot of driving.
Right.
You know, um, then
What'd you do on your drives? Just listen to the radio?
yeah, cassette tapes
Right.
or books on tape. Books on tape were great.
Oh, okay. Those put me to sleep.
When I commute between San Francisco and LA, I'd have a book on tape, and usually they're like 4 or 5 cassette tapes,
Yeah.
and the story takes like 6 hours. That's a 6-hour drive.
Hell yeah.
And I was driving down to LA, and I got to where I was going, and I had like a half hour left for the story, and I had to hear the end of it. So I just drove around for another half hour to listen to the end of the story.
Why are you late? I just had to listen to the rest of the story. Now,
Yeah.
what are you driving at the time? What kind of vehicle are you driving?
Not driving. I had a 1990 Chevy Blazer,
Okay.
which was pretty good. I put 280,000 miles on that.
4.3 V6, not great on gas, but it wasn't that expensive then.
I couldn't tell you how big the engine was.
Yeah.
You'd know better than I.
Yeah.
You sold cars, didn't you?
17 years.
Wow. Yeah. Well, there you go.
Shake your hand and take your ring without you knowing it.
So I came back to St. Louis, still working the road, and the idea was just kind of regroup. And then I met my future wife here in town, good Midwestern Catholic Irish girl, and got a day job. I was burnt off from the road. I'd spent 17 years on the road. So I got a
here in town at an advertising agency, J. Walter Thompson.
one of the oldest agencies in the country. Started in Detroit with the Ford account, so many years ago. And I was a senior copywriter and producer, and I did that for 5 years. That was my midlife crisis, getting
Okay.
a day job. But I was courting my wife and did that for 5 years and got married in 2004, still doing stand-up, still doing commercials, got a lot of commercial work here in St. Louis. There was a lot of that going on back in those days. So I was making some good jack, but I wasn't in LA anymore. And then ended up marrying her. And she was a widow with 3 little kids, 13, 11, and 7. And, I started a family, and it was an instant family.
Yeah.
We've been together for 23 years, and I came into the kids' lives very early, she was a widow, so there was no ex in the picture.
Right.
She lost him. He had passed away from cancer, and so it really kind of it really was felt like it was meant to be. That just really changed my life, and then I started still doing stand-up. I did that gig for 5 years and did some freelance production over the years, but I was still doing stand-up. I mean, the whole time I had that day job, I was still working the local clubs and doing weekend shows and, one-nighters around the area where I could drive there and drive back and be at work by Monday morning. So that was also a good period. And then I was, had two incomes, and so I was making some money, saving up some money, and I bought a house in '96 here in St. Louis.
You still live in that same house?
No. Oh, no.
Okay. I didn't know.
And needed a bigger house with the new family.
Right.
And, did that and raised those kids, and never really got another advertising full-time job. I tried, but I just got back on the road. Then started doing the cruise ships, which turned out to be the best gig, the most fun, the highest paid gig that I'd ever done, and the most consistent work, starting in the early teens to 2022.
Right.
And that was great. Now, I was gone half the time. I'd be gone 2 weeks, home 2 weeks, gone 2 weeks, home 2 weeks. So, yeah, it just worked out great. And that pretty much was how I left it. I tried to get some writing jobs in LA, never really panned out. I wrote some spec scripts and got some interviews, but I'm not sure if I was suited for that work because, getting on a staff on a sitcom out in LA, writing staff, that is really, really hard work. And you got to bust your ass. And I just don't think I had it in me to work that hard, to sacrifice everything. You got, you're all in or you're not,
Yeah.
And, and people that I've talked to, a couple of people I know that are in LA that are successful in LA, either as actors or producers or as whatever is, the thing is to make it in LA, you got to be in LA and you got to stay in LA.
Right.
And I didn't do either of those.
And
it wasn't that important.
I think like what you were talking about being a writer, I think the amount of anxiety of writer's block I think you're constantly being pressed forward, and that's why they're paid so well.
Yeah, it's really, really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems easy looking in from, the window going, well, I could do that. I could write an episode, but you don't realize that they probably wrote 3 to get to that one,
Right.
So your last time on stage was 2022.
April 2nd.
April 2nd. Did you know that was it?
Yeah, I did.
You did. You were like, this is it. You laid the mic on the stage,
Yeah, this is going to be it. I didn't book anything after that.
Right. And how did it feel walking off?
It was fine, I wasn't emotional. I didn't really announce it to anybody. I just, I didn't want to oh, some friends, I want to come see you last night. No, don't worry
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, right.
It was a B room. Uh, it wasn't that great of a gig. It was just the last one I was going to do
Yeah.
because I just decided I can't do it. If I'm not doing it every week, I can't do it. And I was retired. I was fortunate enough. My wife too, we're the same age. I mean, we both retired when COVID hit. Well, I got sick and I had radiation therapy for prostate cancer in 2020. As if 2020 didn't suck enough.
Yeah.
I had health issues, which also made me decide, well, I'm not going to travel anymore. I have 6 grandchildren now and big
Yeah.
family. So, what started as, I'm married into a family of 4. We've made 5, and now there's 14 of us. So,
Yeah. That's great though.
and, I'm shooting pool. I'm, playing music, playing in bands again. I could never do that when I was on the road because I'd be gone so much.
Right. Are you playing
Just,
out live or just getting together?
yeah,
Yeah.
we're
Right
playing
on.
out live. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
Do you have
I'm playing drums in a band called White Collar Crime.
White Collar Crime? You told me that the other day. If you guys got any
Isn't that a
stuff
great
on?
name?
Yeah. Do you have any stuff online or recorded?
Yeah, actually, I've been doing some recording. I'm revamping my website and getting a YouTube page signed up. I'm gonna start posting some music on there.
Yeah.
And I've been drawing cartoons at Chopin Draws Funny
That's what I
on
was gonna do. Yeah.
Instagram
Yeah. Okay. So that's what it's called. It's
at Chopin Draws Funny. CHOPIN Draws Funny.
Yeah. Dude, those are great. Can
And
you?
I'm doing stuff on Facebook. I'm posting stuff on Facebook. I'm doing old clips.
I see that.
And
Do you
so
do any side hustle with your cartoon work, or have you ever tried to advertise it out to get somebody to purchase it at all?
I've sent them out trying to sell them. You're not supposed to. You can only sell ones you don't publish. So if I publish it on Facebook, nobody would want to buy it. And I was doing that for a little bit, but then I think, it's just more. I don't want to get into another rat race.
Yeah.
So I'm just doing it for my own shits and giggles.
Yeah. Well, they're great. I mean,
Thanks. Yeah, they're fun to do.
I get a kick out of them. What's next? What do you do next?
Just more of the same. I'm home, raising, staying with the family. I'm in my what's next. Drawing cartoons, playing music,
Right
shooting
on.
pool, playing poker.
Yeah.
We're getting our pool redone this year. That's what's next.
In-ground pool?
Yeah.
Look at you.
We bought a house in 2015 and had an in-ground pool, and it just needed so much repair. We just had to tear it out and build a new one in its place.
Now, are you a long short guy? Or are you more boner trunks, speedos when you're laying out there?
I'm more of a loose trunks kind of guy.
Silk robe.
Yeah.
Coconut
nice
oil.
nice little 2-piece,
Yeah. Nice. Now, last thing I'm gonna get off the phone with you here, Dan. First of all, thanks for calling me. And the reason
Sure.
I want to do this is I think it's I find romanticism in people's what they've done, and I think most people don't understand the other side of comedy. I think people see what they see on stage, they think, wow, they don't realize the 22 and a half hours of the day that we went through back then. Like, what did you do in the daytime? Did you sit in a hotel room? What'd you do to make the day go by?
Well, when I was on the boat, there's more than 23 hours to kill. I mean, a lot of the Carnival Cruise Line was the most fun because that was the most diverse group of people, and you do adult shows, so you could do your you can do you're not required to do all family friendly shows. You had to do a family friendly show.
Right.
But like Holiday America, I'd be on the ship for 7 days and only work 2 nights. So, I took books, I read, I took a couple of guitars, I played my guitar, and I would go go to different ports. I mean, that was what was so fun about, the cruise ships was, I saw the world, I'm
Right.
really going to port. You could get off the ship and meet people. And it was really a lot of fun. But, after a while, I got tired of the traveling.
And lonely. It
And,
gets lonely.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it was nice, to be married because I wasn't that lonely. I enjoy solitude, and I've got
Right.
a family to come home to. So, if I didn't have a family, it would be lonely.
Yeah.
But, I would, play golf. I would spend some of the time writing. I mean, in my early days, I'd go out, party with people I met, and sleep in. You'd
Right.
have to do radio in the morning, and a lot of morning radio back in those days. Get up at 6:30, the owner come pick you up and take you to to 3 or 4 different radio stations to promote the show, which was part of your deal. You didn't get paid for that, but you get paid for the whole week.
Right.
So you fill your day. Take my nap in the afternoon and do 2 shows that night.
Right. Yeah. The 2 shows. What was did you ever drink on stage or drink before, or did
I
you
used to love to have, sure, of course. Whenever I'd get shit-faced, I'd have a terrible show. A lot of times, as I matured, later I'd, on the last show of the night, just 1 shot of tequila before you went on. Put you just right,
I was usually too drunk by then. Did you ever, when you're doing those 2 show nights, it's like you're playing pool up there for the next joke, and then you think, did I already shoot this one? Or was that the
right.
first show? Did you ever run into that when you're maybe had a couple too
Of
many
course,
drinks?
yeah. Well, when you got 3 shows, then
Oh,
it's just
God.
really. So I would pretty much do the same show, each show, just in same order, just to kind of avoid that. And when you got to the ships, Carnival especially, you'd have to do 5 different shows because you got the same audience coming back to see you. So I had 5 different half-hour shows mapped out, and I would know what show I'm doing. I'm doing adult show 3 tonight.
Wow.
And so I would know, and I would have that, I'd have that in an outline. I had all 5 shows outlined, and I was able to stick to it.
Right.
And, and then somebody would say something where, oh shit, I got a line from adult show 2 that would work great here as a heckle response, but I'm not going to do it because I need it for tomorrow night.
Yeah. That had to be restraining.
Shit like that. No.
How long is that show that you had 5? How long were they? 20 minutes, 25, or a half hour?
Half hour.
Yeah.
Half
Wow.
hour.
That's a lot of material to
2.5 hours. Yeah.
to keep straight in your head, because
Yeah.
there's some songs that I like to replay all the time just because, they work great and they'll bring up something else. But, woo.
Yeah, but if they've already seen it,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. That would that would be you'd want to keep that straight. What show did I just do? They're like, this guy,
right.
What? Rerun. Well, right on. I guess I don't have a whole lot of other stuff for you. Anything else? What do you think of the world of comedy now compared to what it was as you came through it?
I saw Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle a week and a half ago. It was great. 17,000 people.
Wow.
They had
Where was that at?
that was at the Sabbath Center in St. Louis. That's where they play hockey.
Oh, wow.
They had it in the round. It was you get in line, they lock up your phone,
Yeah.
put it in a little pouch that locks, and you have it on your person. You just get it unlocked when you leave the room or when
Right.
you leave the venue. I didn't even take my phone because I knew they'd do that. I don't know. And it was, show started at 7:30 and it went on until midnight.
Wow.
Long show. It was great. I love the Netflix, lots of great comics, putting out stuff. I wouldn't want to be, out there in the rat race doing it.
Yeah.
And it's hard, there's there's in St. Louis, there's 24 places doing open mic nights any night of the week.
Yeah.
And, it's a different circumstances, same craft, same things you have to do, right? And try it out, work on it, build up a set. That hasn't changed. It's just, the availability of social media makes it possible to do all kinds of promotional things. And you can have, guys that are big on YouTube, people big on YouTube can headline rooms if they got enough following.
TikTok.
But I think those shows aren't as strong as the classic headliners from back in the day when you had to really have some chops to headline. So it's different.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that. Audience, what did you think of audience toward the end of your time? Did you think people were easily offended, or how did you feel that atmosphere changed?
No, I thought the audiences were fine. They seemed fine to me. I enjoyed it. I had a great time.
Yeah.
And I think I was, the last 10 years of my career, I was the funniest I'd ever been. So, it was a really good time to stop when I stopped.
Yeah.
Well, I was at retirement age. I was lucky enough that I could retire. And I look at, I'm still on the Facebook groups of comics talking about traveling and doing this, doing that. I'm just like, I don't miss it. I'm just like, I did it.
Yeah.
Been there, done that. People say, you're going to, come back and do a show. No, I don't want to.
Well, damn. This is what I wanted to get was I just love hearing like the behind the scenes, your journey with it, because everybody's journey is different. And what was that? A llama?
What's that?
What was that noise? It sounded like a llama in the background. Just like, oh.
I didn't hear it.
Oh, maybe it was my stomach. But anyways, I appreciate the journey. And yeah, I think the last time when did we see each other last? Was when we went to Michigan?
Dubuque.
Or Dubuque. Yeah.
That was 2012, I think. Yeah, it was 11 years ago.
Man, so much has changed in those times. So.
Well, just 12 years. Yeah.
Crazy.
11 years. Wow. Crazy.
But I appreciate this, and
hey, glad to do it, Doug.
I'll put your at Chopin funny, and I remember you always every time the song comes on, what do they say next?
Yeah. Chopin draws funny, and I'm on Facebook under Daniel Chopin.
No, you missed what I was saying. When I was driving with you in the car, Come Together came on, and you kept saying, "Do you know they're saying Chopin there?"
Oh, right. Yeah. Chopin.
Yeah.
Chopin. Yeah, I've ruined that song for many friends.
You did. You ruined it for me because now every time I hear it, that's what I'm imagining they're saying is Chopin.
Yeah, well,
I'm like, God damn.
I'm glad I'm a little earworm for you.
You stuck. All the things you stuck. I told you the other day what stuck with me, but I'm not going to bring that up on here. But it was just a funny thing that you said to me that we were sitting in Traverse City at some crazy, I don't even know what the hell that place was
I
called.
remember what you told me. Yeah.
I wrote a song. There's something happening here. What it is, and I ain't exactly clear.
Yeah.
I
what
think
it's worth.
I said my lyric was, I think I drank too much beer because all my pee has turned clear. There's a cop with a taser over there. He's telling me I better beware. And then you said, I'll buy that from you. And I'm like, I think I'm going to keep it. But
something happened. That's pretty fun. That's a popular song.
Yeah. I just loved, like riding with you. And when you're a young comic, I mean, I wasn't young at the time. I was, 30 some years old, but it just like your wisdom and your knowledge. It was always great to watch you on stage and like be with you that long. It was exciting. It was, It was romantic, I guess you could say. Like,
yeah, that's nice to say, Doug.
Well, it was. I remember you woke me up in Wisconsin because we had one of those old Magellan, like map things. Like, I don't know what they were called, TomToms or whatever you put on your dashboard. And we were on a new part of interstate. And remember, it was icing.
Uh-huh.
And you woke me up and said, "Hey, the road's gone."
Yeah, that was
What?
the Upper Peninsula. We did the Upper Peninsula in January of 2010.
And we drove back through the night from Marquette.
Right,
We got done with the show and we said, let's hit the road and go back home. And I
right.
remember we got to my house, there was ice all over the front of the car because it was like misting ice. So, memorable time. I think your car
Crazy.
was parked in my garage. Wasn't it like a Camry?
Let me see. 2010. Yeah, it was a Camry.
Yeah, it was parked in the garage. So, all right, sir. I appreciate your time
All right,
today.
Doug.
It was great to
Thanks,
speak with
buddy.
you. And I'll
Send
see
me
you
a link to your podcast.
I will do that. I'll talk
All
to you
right,
soon,
buddy.
Dan. Thank you, buddy.
All right, Douglas. So I'm gonna say hi to all of my Cedar Rapids people.
I will tell them hello for you.
Thank you, buddy.
See you, buddy.
Bye to you.
Bye. There you have it, folks. Dan Chopin. At Chopin Draws Funny is where you can see his cartoons. They're great. They have that old, almost like Playboy feel. Like you'd see, not dirty by any means, but in Playboys, they used to always have cartoons, you know. And it has that feel, but they're real funny. Dan's a great guy. You can look him up online and see some of his work. He's got a great book of work, and I am glad to know him because really, I don't know him well, as in like we're old long lost buddies, but I was in a car with him for, almost probably 20 hours, somewhere in there, driving together. Sometimes he was sleeping, sometimes I was sleeping. But you get to know him. And I know I was annoying at that time because it was early. I just got I was just doing it full time. And I had to annoy the shit out of him. And I didn't ask him that because I don't want to put somebody on the spot. But I probably annoyed the shit out of him because that was when I was doing impressions all the time. And I know I did. I had to have. But, so Dan, I appreciate you calling me back because you're probably thinking, like, if he starts doing these goddamn voices again with Billy Bob Thornton, 20 hours of that, me asking him questions about the road and everything. I just wanted to know everything. It was like a new toy, but it wasn't a toy. It was now how I was making my living. And when I remember the first show I went to after I didn't work anymore, the first show, I was driving there. And I remember thinking, like, holy shit, I can't suck anymore. This is all my income comes from this. And, I always had questions about it. And I just wanted to find out more. And I think I still had my day job when I went with him. I think I took vacation, as a matter of fact. But I was trying to find... That's why to me, this podcast is called Running in the Dark. Because that's kind of what I was doing at the time. And guys like him made me see, like, hey, man, I want to do what this person does. And I looked up to, like, Dan, and still do. So check out his at Chopin Draws Funny. Really a great guy. You can find his stuff online. I'll try and put a link to some of his videos. And until next time, I could say, hey, right now we're sponsored by Sparkling Ice. Actually not, because I already drank that. So I started using water and Crystal Light Grape with caffeine. Early morning phone call. I was up late, got up early. Running in the dark. See you next time. Thanks for tuning in.